As you may know, Illinois is known for its coal mines, but unlike the rest of Illinois, the northwest corner is known for its lead. The Wishon, Wishon, and Illinois mines should be considered an important factor to the development of central Joe Davis County area. The early history of lead mining in Joe Davis County began with the local Native Americans. Evidence shows that Native Americans in Joe Davis County began mining about 100 years prior to the arrival of settlers. The settlers had heard of the plethora of lead in the area. Because the young men were hunting, the Native American women and old men did the majority of the mining. They dug shallow pits on the surface using stone picks, bones, and buckhorns.
They would dig all surface lead. They actually didn't do any mining per se or make shafts. Very little of that went on because they didn't have the means of drilling equipment or like the old quarter drills and things like that, or much any knowledge of dynamite and things of this nature.
They also had a unique method of blasting rock. They would build a fire on the rock until it was heated, then douse the rock in cold water, shattering the rock. As the settlers began expanding west, they had heard of the great wealth available in the northwest corner of Illinois, due to the vast amounts of lead.
So everything was all surface diggings. Well, they really didn't know what to do with the lead. It was unusual, heavy, shiny when it was broke open. But what they did is the braves, the Indian women were doing all the digging, and the braves would make the smelters. They would smelter the lead, but it was crude. But they really didn't know what to do with that lead, again, like I said. So what they would do was, after it was smeltered, they would hammer that lead, small pieces of lead, into a ceremonial or religious object of what they thought of at that time. From there, they would use that as a trading tool with all the other Indian tribes traveling the Mississippi Valley through the seasons.
As the settlers moved into the area, Native Americans began trading the lead with the settlers for clothing, iron tools, and beads. When the settlers saw the success the Native Americans were having mining, they wanted to mine for themselves. As a result of the settlers starting to mine the area, several land disputes between the Native Americans and the settlers broke out in the 1830s. Settlers began arriving in Joe Davis County in the early 1820s because of the natural resources in the area, including timber and mining. Towns like Galena, Elizabeth, Weston, and Hanover were founded around the booming lead mining business. Galena was named after a type of lead that was found in abundance. Elizabeth was especially profitable because of the Wishon, Wishon, and Illinois mine. The Wishon Mine was founded in 1901 by George Wishon on the Ashmore farm. Lead was discovered by Charles and Henry Ashmore, who were immigrants from England 2 years prior. Charles and Henry were attempting to straighten Wolf Creek when the two men saw a piece of lead in the creek bed. Charles and Henry Ashmore mined part-time, but their main occupation was farming. Later, Charles bought out Henry's share and leased it to George Wishon in 1900.
Well, I know it was on the Ashmore farm. I think it was either Charles or Henry, I know that was the two names. One of them owned the farm and the other one found lead right on top of the ground there. So they kind of did some mining for a while, just whenever they had time when they weren't farming.
The Wishon Mine was one of the major economic contributors to the economy of Elizabeth. The opening year of the Wishon Mine, the population of Elizabeth went from a negative growth rate to a positive growth rate. The mine employed over 100 people, which was equal to about 1/6 of the population at the time. The mine had 3 separate shafts. The largest shaft was 120 feet deep. 2 huge boilers powered the water pumps. Air drills, air compressors, lifts, and electric lights, which were very uncommon in those days. The Wishon Mine closed in 1907 due to the decreasing in price in lead and the increasing cost of pumping water. However, the Wishon Mine was so profitable up to that point that a road was built in the town of Elizabeth, starting at the Wishon Mine and leading to the railroad tracks. There was also a railroad track built from Dubuque, Iowa to Elizabeth to make the transporting of the lead easier. The Wishon Mine produced over 4 million pounds of lead ore. The Wishon Mine made over $4 million in revenue in the short period of time it was open from 1901 to 1907. Another mine located in Elizabeth was the Wishon Mine. The Wishon Mine was opened many years before the Wishon Mine. The mine was first opened around 1865 and it was operated until 1875 by Martin Wishon, a local farmer in the area. The mine was forced to close in 1875 when the lead ore vein ran out. The Wishon Mine was one of the first mines in the area and was very important to the founding of Elizabeth. The mine created many jobs and revenue in the area.
That was a unique, mine, and it's not that far away. And to be honest with you, a lot of the mines around probably didn't even have names. They were just, holes, and until you actually started employing a bunch of people, they had no reason to name them. I mean, people had mines right there on their farms for a while.
The Wishon Mine was reopened in 1903 by the Wishon Mining Company, who thought they could find a deeper vein of lead ore. The company hit a vein and was again very profitable. A 100-ton concentrating mill, water pumps, and new boilers were purchased to make the lead mining easier and more profitable. However, like the first vein of lead ore, it ran out several years later in 1908. In total, the Wishon Mine exported over 30 million pounds of lead ore and was one of the most successful mines in the county. The Illinois mine was opened in the early 1900s and was closed in 1906 due to a threatened collapse of the mine. The mine was located a half-mile away from the Great Western Railroad to make transporting the lead easier. There were two separate mine shafts. The largest mine shaft was about 130 feet deep. The mine employed about 60 men the entire time it was open. The Illinois mine had over $210,000 in profit for the short time it was open. Although it was not a large mine, it was very important to the founding of Elizabeth because it drew people to the area to work. The Native Americans had been mining for over 100 years in Joe Davis County when the settlers began to arrive in the 1830s. The news of the vast lead deposits in the area had spread and led to an increase in new settlers in the area. The increase of settlers led to the founding of Elizabeth. Mines like the Skeene, Wishon, and Illinois mines were extremely important because of the economic value they provided. The mines provided jobs and revenue, which allowed the village to grow and for its citizens to raise a family. During the lifespan of the mines, they combined to employ around 300 people and created almost $35 million in revenue. Even though the mines in Joe Davis County and near Elizabeth are no longer in production, the effect of the mines is still evident today in the way Elizabeth has developed. Without the lead mines in the area, Joe Davis County and the surrounding towns like Elizabeth would not have been founded in this location or developed successfully.